Hi, this is Todd and welcome to another edition of Screencasts Online. This week we will take a look at a photo editing application by Skylum Software called Aurora HDR 2019. Skylum Software was formerly MacFun Software, the creators of many photo editing applications, some of which we have covered here on Screencasts Online in the past. This particular application has been developed together with famed photographer Trey Ratcliffe, who is known for a particular style of photography called HDR. HDR stands for High Dynamic Range, and it is used to properly expose both the brightest highlights and the darkest darks of a photo equally to show the whole range of exposure in one photo. This happens by taking multiple exposures and blending them together into one image that contains a blend of all of those exposures. Aurora HDR 2019 does the work of blending multiple photos with different exposures into one photograph and then provides editing tools to make that photo look the way you want. So let's get started by taking a look at HDR itself and talking about how to get everything you need from your camera to get the most out of Aurora HDR 2019. Before we start to use the application, let's talk a little bit about what HDR is and what problem it solves. So if you've ever tried to take photographs of things like, let's say, landscapes, one of the things that you'll notice is it's very difficult to expose for a bright sky and then have the landscape turn out correct, or if you expose for the landscape, the sky doesn't work right. So for instance, I've got some photos here. Let me just pull this one up here and I'll just do a quick look on it. What will typically happen is you'll get a shot like this. Now this is a perfectly exposed shot taken here of Mono Lake. And what you'll see is I've got a dark foreground here, and then I've got highlights that are blown out in the sky. You can see some of the details are there, but the highlights are blown out. So I lose some detail up here, and I also am going to lose some detail in some of these shadows because they go too dark, and so I'm going to miss some things here. Now I can take this photo and work on it in Photoshop or one of those applications and see what I can do to enhance it. It's going to take some work, but it's difficult because I'm going to lose some things. So let me just put this down. So then what we tend to do is we tend to say, okay, well then let me try to expose for, let's say, the sky. And so I'll say I want the sky to have more details. So I go and expose for the sky, and you can see that, okay, there's the details. I've got more color now. I have more highlights up here. You can actually see the clouds and the definition. You can see the mountains. But now all of a sudden I've lost all this detail down here. So now it's too dark and I can't see anything. This would be very difficult to fix. I wouldn't get very good results trying to work with this. The sky would look great, but everything else would be a mess. So then our tendency is to say, well, then let's expose for the ground. And so I expose for the foreground. And now you can see, look at all the details in here that I was missing. You can see the rocks and the stones and the water. You can see how the water flows over here. And now you see all the detail that was in that shadow that I couldn't find in the other two photos. But notice my sky is completely white. I've got nothing up here, no detail at all. All the highlights are blown out. So if I expose for the ground, I blow out the highlights. If I expose for the sky, I blow out the dark areas. And so that's what creates my problem. With HDR, we take all three of these images and we blend them together so that the best of each image is present in one image that we can work with. Down here, you see that our cameras, like our iPhones, they try to do the job for us, and they do a better job, let's say, than our regular DSLRs because they're using some computational things to try to pull out all the detail they can. So here you see I've got more detail in the foreground. This is taken with my iPhone. And I've got some of the detail in the sky, but you can see it still has a little bit of struggle. You can see some of these details in here aren't as clear. I've got some things blown out over here. And so it's better, but it's still going to take a little bit of work to fix it. So that's where a program like Aurora HDR comes into play because it's going to allow us to blend these things together. So now that you've got an idea of what HDR is all about, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you how to set it up on your cameras so that you're ready to use the application.
That's just a quick preview of one of this week's Apple-related tutorials from Screencasts Online. Screencasts Online is your premium source of Apple-related video tutorials. All of our members get access to brand new, up-to-date tutorials each week, as well as unlimited access to our entire video archive full of Mac and iOS related tutorials. You can stream and download all of our videos on your Mac, iPad and iPhone, and even your Apple TV using the members-only Screencasts Online Apple TV app. Membership also includes a complimentary subscription to the Digital Screencasts Online monthly magazine, published each month and packed with videos, articles, reviews, as well as hints and tips covering all aspects of the Mac, iPad, iPhone, and all of the other fantastic Apple products. So, if you're ready to start getting the most out of your Apple devices, visit screencastsonline.com today and become a Screencasts Online member.